aside with
destinies are shared.
Hello and welcome to the Effective Living Series 2023.
Another year is upon us, and we are poised to kickstart this new revolution with the utmost zeal. City TV and City FM present to you another rewarding season of the Effective Living Series. This year, the Effective Living Series will be riding on the back of the theme 2023 Starter Pack, Building Back Better. Every week in the month of January, our team of renowned experts, alongside our exceptional host Bernard Avlen, will delve into various thematic areas that have been carefully selected to cater to your holistic well-being in the coming year. Week 1 will focus on the importance of physical preparation for 2023. After that, we will take a look at emotional and mental health imperatives for 2023 in our second weekly series. Then, we will proceed to the third weekly series with emphasis on professional priorities for 2023. In our fourth and final week, we will dig into the strategic conversation on building financial foundations for 2023. The Effective Living Series will be live on the City Breakfast Show on 97.3 City FM at 9 a.m. and on Breakfast Daily on City TV at 9:30 a.m. from Monday through till Thursday. So join us and let's get ready to be equipped with practical information for building back better in 2023. The Effective Living Series is sponsored by Enterprise Insurance and Hallmark Freights and Logistics Ghana Limited.
My name is Gina, and this salon is where I work.
Good morning. Hey, morning, hairdressers. You've already met your new colleague, have you?
Who was this Kujubisia? He fell from the sky.
I'm so glad there's a man amongst you. You ladies gossip too much.
Hey, girls! Today, Madam came in with a hot, sexy guy. And they were doing lobby.
Did Madam think men don't gossip?
The grapevine lands on my lap.
I've noticed a massive decline in our daily proceeds.
I suggest we fast and pray.
The spirit, told me today that I'll see a man in this salon.
He said his wife is dead?
Yes, she was sick.
Hey, what sickness?
Aite, it is your mother that will get leukemia. It is your mother.
I don't like what you are doing at all.
Hey, you want to fight?
Showing every Wednesday at 7:30 p.m. with repeats on Friday at 10 p.m., Saturday at 6 p.m. and Sunday at 12:30 p.m. The Hairdressers is sponsored by Ebony Condoms,
Hello, you're welcome to The Point of View. The Point of View is your favorite current affairs program on television. On The Point of View, we select the right topic, get the right guests, ask relevant questions, and we often leave you with insights. My name is Salom Adunu. Tonight, the discussion is on government's Gold for Oil program. The government of Ghana, since sometime last year, began looking at what it can be doing with its gold. First, we heard that the Bank of Ghana was seeking or going to buy more gold as to be used as a stabilizer of the cedi. Later in that year, we also heard that government was seeking to trade our gold for oil as a way of relieving the cedi of some pressure. Mind you, the Ghana currency has not been doing so well, and indeed sometime late last year it was adjudged the worst performing currency against the dollar in the world. The hope is that with the Gold for Oil program, some of the pressure on the cedi will be eased. Government says that it spends about $4 billion a year in importing finished products, crude products, and it is the hope that if gold is used, the cedi will be relieved a bit. But the question really is, does it matter? Because when you sell gold, you get foreign exchange, and it's the foreign exchange that we use to buy the oil. So what difference will it really make? That is our discussion today. Government is upbeat about the program, and indeed, we understand that some 40,000 metric tons of finished products have arrived in the country. How is this going to work? Who is going to be given these products to sell? Is it going to be GOIL? Is it going to be the other private entities? What is the role of TOR and BOST in all of this? And indeed, the PMMC is a critical part of this whole arrangement. So yes, that is our discussion tonight. And so you can join the discussion as always via our WhatsApp number 020-444-7033. 020-444-7033, and we'll be happy to read out your comments out to the rest of the world. I will want to take a quick break, return, and then introduce my guest. Then we can delve into the discussion proper. Once again, you're welcome to The Point of View. You're welcome back to The Point of View. My name is Salom Adun, doing this on behalf of Bernard Koku Avle. Tonight, we are looking at Ghana's Gold for Oil program. The government of Ghana has announced its plan, a plan to exchange Ghana's gold. You know, Ghana used to be the Gold Coast. So exchange Ghana's gold for oil as a way of easing pressure on the cedi. Indeed, we understand that some 40,000 metric tons of oil, finished products, that is, have arrived in the country. We want to understand how that will be and how that will impact the prices at the pumps. Tonight, to help me do the discussion, Dr. Abdul Kabiru Tia Mahama, who is an economic advisor to the Vice President. The Vice President has been the lead on this matter. We'll also be joined by Nana Akwesi Ewa, Managing Director of the Precious Mineral Marketing Company, a very key part of the discussion. And also Benjamin Boachi, who is Executive Director of Africa Center for Policy, ACEP, and civil society organizations appear to have quite a lot to say about this, and we will want to hear what they think. So earlier in the week, the Vice President, Dr. Mahmoud Baumia, addressing the New Year School at the University of Ghana, spent quite some time to explain the rationale behind the Gold for Oil program. Let's listen to him return and then begin the discussions.
I've always got pressure on finding US dollars to buy oil. Why don't we rather reach an agreement to exchange our gold for oil and then sell the oil in cedis, then use the cedis to buy more gold, use that gold to pay for oil, sell the oil in cedis, and then you don't need to look for scarce foreign exchange to buy oil, which always leads to a depreciation in the currency. So with this idea, we said, let's do something that the textbooks don't teach you. Let's do something that is out of the box. And this is why we said gold for oil. And we quickly looked at this and we negotiated with the suppliers of oil, who were very, very excited and happy to receive gold in payment. Thankfully, yesterday, I think yesterday was Monday, right? Yes, yesterday was Monday. Yesterday, Ghana took its first delivery of oil under the Gold for Oil program. This is our test cargo. This is the cargo to test the framework, to see if everything that has been put in place will work. And by the grace of God, it's clear that the framework will work. And if that should happen, we are going to save a lot of foreign exchange and reduce the...
All right, so you heard the Vice President there speaking yesterday at the New Year's School at the University of Ghana, and you heard him say that on Monday, some 40,000 tons of 40,000 metric tons of crude finished products, that is, arrived in the country, and they want to use that to test to see how it will pan out. Dr. Kabiru Mahama is my guest as well, of economic advisor, Vice President. So the Vice President who spoke, one of the people who advised him to see the things he said, is just sitting across me. Dr. Kabiru Mahama, you're welcome to the program.
Thank you very much, Salo.
Yes, your boss, of course, he said this many times. Fortunately, I mean, we have the first, we've taken delivery of the first consignment of the oil. The question really is, I mean, how does it work? You have gold. Instead of selling the gold to get dollars to buy the finished product, now you want to use the gold to buy the finished product. Is it not the same thing?
So let me just say, first of all, good evening to yourself and to our cherished viewers, and to note that I'm happy that this discussion has been done with the participation of my colleague from the PMMC, the team that was tasked to be involved in the technical nitty-gritties of the process, led by the Energy Ministry, is on Zoom, and then those details I would defer them to him. But the whole concept, as the Vice President envisaged with the program, was to the effect that we are having a challenge with Forex. In other words, we do not have enough foreign currency or dollar to purchase crude product, or refined product into the country. This lack of or scarcity of dollar in the system call for ingenuity, call for new ways of looking at things, and as well call for ways you look beyond the books, what the textbook will tell you, to finding innovative solutions to addressing contemporary challenges with your economic management. The Vice President, thinking around the problem, thought of an idea where we could say that, look, we need dollar in order to buy crude product, or refined product, fuel product, but we do not have in abundance. We do not even have in proportionate amount in order to suffice for our import. So what do? Then gold is the next major avenue we can look at. Vice President says that, look, gold is produced in the country. We export gold. If the gold that was exported, could the receipt come back into the shores, onshore, and that is deposited with the central bank by way of reserve, we will not need to go into this kind of liquefied butter system. Because when you export gold, you are expected to receive the money in dollars. But almost all the money that is expected to return is either diverted elsewhere to pay for creditors, or part of the, rules governing the operation of this particular. They have parent companies, especially the multilateral or the, big scale mining companies. The money do not come back. So the country is shortchanged in terms of the expected forex or hard currency we will get from the exportation of the crude. But mind you, most of these mining concessions are run by private individuals. They are not run as a business of government, and the government would get the money anyway, except where government has strategic holdings. The amount expected for government is converted into dollar and deposited in the Bank of Ghana in the government account with the central bank. But this is a case government does not have firm handle, because it is a liberalized system with active participation of private persons or private corporations. Now, but we can get our handle around that particular problem by saying that, look, let's introduce a policy that will require that government purchase in line with the Mineral Act. The government purchase all gold that is produced, especially the small-scale mining. If government purchases the gold, what it essentially means that government now have the ability to turn the gold to dollars, or to use the gold, as it were, to pay for the product, because this product is going to be priced in dollars. It's not going to be priced per bar of gold or per kilogram of gold. It's going to be priced, products are to be priced in dollars. Now, government having firm hold of the gold now, or having hold of the gold that is required to purchase for the product, can then decide to change this this gold into dollars and pay for a product. But in order not to complicate the scheme, what a simple explanation to that, the government will buy the gold in Ghana cedi. Of course, Ghana cedi, we've never run out of Ghana cedi in order to pay for goods and services. That has never happened.
Yes.
Okay, we only have to be able to manage the inflationary pressure of the circulation of currency in the in the system, or we manage with the deflationary pressure depending on whether the quantity of money in circulation is high or low. These are the only issue government has to look at in addressing the economy regarding the management of the cedi. But once we have control over the cedi, now we may have to use the cedi to buy the dollar. When you use the cedi to buy the dollar, you will then use the dollar to pay for the product in simple terms. Of course, there are mechanisms involved in converting the dollar the gold to dollar in order to pay for that. Details, intricacies of that particular program, I don't need to dovetail into that. Maybe if the technical people want that. For instance, I've seen civil society organizations raising issues about the technical nitty-gritties of the program. If that is required, I think the PMMC, the technical working team, the team working on this program is willing and at any time to provide them explanation. But the scheme is as simple as that. Let us use our gold. Let's convert this gold into, say, dollar, and the dollar will be used to purchase the product. Instead of then using our cedi to buy dollar, and then use the dollar to buy the product. Because the difficulty with the latter is that when you continue use your cedi to demand dollar, and then your demand for dollar is increasing, look, you are weakening your currency on the back of the fact that your currency, a lot more Ghanaian notes are now chasing for the dollar.
So but the gold is sold in dollars.
The gold is sold in dollars.
So what you have coming into the country is dollars. So you then use the same dollars to buy, or that what we've been doing is we use the same dollars to buy the crude or the oil.
This is the issue. If the gold was sold and the money come back, and all this money hit the the Bank of Ghana account as money as receipt from the export of gold. For instance, if you small-scale miners, for instance, gives you at the peak operation, give you 1.3 billion or 1.6 billion worth of export, okay? And you look at the central bank, and remember the vice president even mentioned that he had traveled to United Arab Emirates.
And the gold they had,
the value of the gold they had more than what is in our records. Okay, so it means that there is a scheme where our product, our gold, our precious mineral for that matter, goes out of the country, but we do not get the equivalent of that in dollar in the central bank or in the Bank of Ghana to service.
But how would this arrangement address that?
This arrangement simply is taken away. Government is now the one more or less buying the dollar, so no one is exporting, and government is the one now selling the dollar. That's basically what it means. But this, of course, the arrangement is said that no private person within the chain is going to be such change. I think that the PMMC has even issued a statement to the effect that people who have outstanding contractual obligations to service, because people mining or gold traders or the Association of Bullion Traders, some of them have engaged some creditors who give them money, and they are supposed to service this debt in dollar, or they are dollar-denominated credit lines. Okay, government has opened a channel to be able to address the concern of those people while still buying the gold at the market price. Therefore, the issue of discount, because you are not selling in the forward, it's a spot market. People, even the participants in this particular scheme, are happy to participate in it. Of course, the clarity in terms of how it's going to address inflation, how it's going to address the depreciation of the currency, how it's going to make sure that we have stability of fuel and prices of fuel product in the economy they are open books we can always explain to the Ghanaian public.
Very well. So let me go to Nana Ewua, who is the managing director of PMMC, the Precious Mineral Marketing Company. Nana Akwesi Ewua. Welcome to the program, Nana. So how does this work from your side? Quite different from what you are used to. I mean, buying gold and using it for some other things, assaying, etc. How does this sit within the context of your general mandate?
Okay, thank you very much, Salom. And, a good evening to all your viewers and those following this program. PMMC was set up under PMMC Law 219, and amongst the objectives of or the mandate of PMMC as stated in Section 2 of that law, it mentions that PMMC is responsible to purchase all gold that is coming from the small-scale sector. And in the wisdom of the framers of that legislation, they envisaged a situation where it was practically impossible for PMMC to have a presence in all the gold mining communities in Ghana. And for that reason, the law also makes provision for PMMC to license agents who would buy the gold on behalf of PMMC. As you know, PMMC is a statutory company which is wholly owned by the government of Ghana. So, in the ideal way of things, traditionally PMMC was set up to buy gold for government or for the country Ghana, and using that existing network of licensed buying agents. However, over the years, because of obvious liquidity challenges, PMMC has not been able to, as it were, live to its full mandate as enshrined in the law. And for that reason, though PMMC grants licenses to persons who are interested in buying gold from the small-scale sector, we are unable to buy that gold from them, or we are unable to pre-finance them to buy the gold for government. And so we allow them to sell to other third parties who are interested in acquiring that gold, and then eventually it finds its way outside the country. Now, how this program is contributing to the evolution of PMMC is that eventually PMMC is now becoming the sole purchaser of gold within the small-scale sector in Ghana. And you would recall that sometime in June 2021, the central bank commenced a program known as the Domestic Gold Purchase Program. By this, what the central bank thought to do was to increase its gold price. In fact, the history as we know it was that since the 1980s, Ghana had about 8 tons of gold in its reserves, and since the 1980s, no government had made any attempt whatsoever to increase those reserves. However, under this government, and in 2021 June, the Domestic Gold Purchase Program was birthed, and since then, I am reliably informed, as I know, that the gold reserves of this country have considerably increased beyond the 8 tons, considerably. The central bank has purchased a lot of gold since then.
Yes, Nana, you mentioned obvious liquidity challenges. I'm not sure how that has changed now, which you said used to be one of the challenges of PMMC in the past. Now you said you will be the sole purchaser of gold from the small scale sector. How are you going to raise the money to buy this gold from the small scale miners?
I think that the education that has gone on since the announcement of this policy has always been that the central bank is going to be the first funder, or as it were, is going to provide the initial funding to feed the cycle for this program. So as His Excellency the Vice President has continuously mentioned and explained on various fora, that the central bank will provide the initial funding. The gold is purchased in Ghana cedis. The gold is disposed of in forex, which means that the receipt of it comes the whole receipt of it, not a fraction of it, and the entire thing comes to the central bank. The central bank then uses those funds to pay for the import of oil, and then the BDCs sell the oil. The oil is sold in cedis. Cedis is recovered, and then it is used to refinance the purchase of more gold in order to service the cycle. So that is essentially the cycle. So the initial funding provided by the central bank, and then through that, the BDCs will be able to sell the imported oil, which is then the sale proceeds are then recovered and then given back to the central bank to refinance the program.
I see. This is the point of view. Tonight we are discussing Ghana's Gold for Oil program. In the studio, Dr. Abdul Kabiru Mahama, who is an economic advisor to the Vice President. Also, you just heard Nana Akwesi Ewua, who is the Managing Director for the PMMC, a very critical agency in this whole Good for Oil program. We also have Ben Boachi, who we will hear very soon. And so far, we've been looking at the idea, and the Vice Presidential Advisor, economic advisor, is making us understand that doing this will help relieve pressure off the cedi, so the cedi can do well, kind of helping us get a product well, so that the cedi depreciation will be reduced essentially. We've also been hearing how the PMMC will be doing its work. Getting the gold, working with the Bank of Ghana to finance the purchase of the gold, and being the sole recipient of the forex that comes from that particular sale. We'll take a quick break. We'll return, and then we will go to Benjamin Boachi and hear what he has to say. He's been writing on this. He's been speaking about this together with other civil society organizations. We'll hear from him. Don't go away.
Is aware that globally, 1 in 2 children suffer from cavities. That's why by giving her Pepsodent, you're not only protecting her teeth, but also helping her grow up and thrive at every stage of her life with a healthy and confident smile, so she can succeed and achieve all of her dreams. Because every smile matters.
It's City on the Go. You don't have to miss any of your favorite television and radio shows on City TV and City FM. Enjoy thrilling content from your world of great television and relevant radio at your convenience. Subscribe to CityTube on YouTube. Turn on your notification button and receive prompts on our live streaming sessions and new content uploads. For easy access to the CityTube page, scan the barcode on your screens. Subscribe to the CityTube page and voila! Unlimited content awaits you. Don't forget to subscribe to CityTube for amazing content from City TV and City FM.
Yeah, welcome back to the point of view. We are looking at Ghana's Gold for Oil program. On Monday, Ghana received or took delivery of the first consignment of oil, finished products, finished crude products from the Gold for Oil program. It essentially means that Ghana uses gold to buy oil. It's actually a barter trade. The barter trade that we learned in primary school and GSS. That is what we are looking at. Indeed, people like Ricky Sagan have said that it is a daft idea and that barter trade has never really worked. But we'll get into that. My guests tonight are Dr. Kabiru Mahama, an economic advisor to the Vice President, Nana Akwesi Ewua, who is the MD for PMMC, and then Benjamin Boachi, who is the Executive Director for ACEP, the Africa Center for Energy Policy. Ben Boachi, the idea sounds quite novel, and I see that quite a number of civil society people, yourself, the IES, and a few others have raised quite some concerns about this. First of all, what's your thoughts about this program? Indeed, we have received a first consignment, which is great news. Your thoughts about it, and what are your difficulties with the program?
Thanks for having me, Salom, and good evening to my co-panelists and to Ghanaians. I think, right from the announcement of this program, those of us who have been following the industry were really concerned about what government was really trying to do. Because one, the gold industry sits in the system. And when you're taking such a major policy decision, you have to really look at the implication of the policy on the broader economy and system that we are managing or operating. And we realized that, we're just thinking we could just swap the gold we have, which we don't produce ourselves as a country. The country itself, as a state, doesn't produce oil. It's companies that produce it, do their own investment. And then we benefit by virtue of being the owner of the resources in situ. But when we make an announcement that we're going to buy gold or swap our gold with oil to be able to stabilize our currency, it appeared to us that we've ignored every other risk that associates with the industry and how it has evolved over time. And what we see government trying to do is not different from what is happening, except that in this particular instance, government wants to control the value chain. That is the buying, selling, and then also buying and selling of petroleum products. And that's essentially what we're doing. Because every commodity today is convertible in dollars or has a dollar value. There is nobody who would change gold for even a shirt without thinking in dollars. All right. And that is why you see over time that government's own position has shifted from a typical barter arrangement, which we had from the initial communication, to now setting up an escrow where they are going to buy the gold, sell it somewhere else, and then use the proceeds to buy oil. This is significantly different from what we had from the beginning. But so let me address one major misconception, which perhaps is fueling this policy. And I did hear Dr. Mahama emphasize that even on your show this evening. There's an assumption that the gold proceeds don't come to Ghana, and therefore government doesn't have control over the revenues from the exports of gold. I think we expect that government understand this industry even better than some of us who are in the periphery. All right. And that is a very significant error that is being communicated. There is no way a gold business can operate without the proceeds returning into the country. That is fundamental. If you check the Chamber of Mines report and the reports of the mining companies, the investment, the recurrent investment, that is what money they need to be able to keep the mines running and be able to pay their taxes to government, is about 75% of the total export of the gold. What that essentially means is that if the money doesn't come, there cannot be production of gold. There cannot be paying of taxes to government. So what I see government trying to think is that once the money doesn't come through the central bank, it means the money did not come. And that is a fundamental error. We are a country that has commercial banks licensed by the central bank. If the central bank has a challenge on how much of the revenue actually comes into the country, they can cross-check with the commercial banks to see how much of the money was actually repatriated in any single year. And this money cannot even come at the end of the year. It comes recurrently, because if it doesn't come, you cannot continue to produce the gold. And that is quite fundamental. We need to establish that. The money doesn't stay offshore. The money has to come. Of course, there are other benefits that, like the dividend payouts that they have to pay, the profit that has to be paid to investors and the rest of it. Those ones, you cannot do anything about it. But essentially, the money comes back into the country. If you look at even the small scale sector, I mean, those who are doing the gold exports and purchases, ask them. Most of them rely on their partners in foreign countries who brings in the dollar for them to finance their operations, to be able to buy the gold and actually export to them. So, like I indicated, the gold has a dollar value. And if you track even the dollar and the gold over the last decade, there is no currency in the world that has been stronger than the dollar. So government is just trying to control the value chain, and there is nothing more than what they are trying to do. I heard the PMMC saying that they have a mandate to actually buy gold, and they are reverting to that mandate. But I think the fundamental question is, how did PMMC even stop buying gold? Right?
He talked about liquidity challenges, which the Bank of Ghana will now address.
They traded into losses and had challenges, and that's why the liquidity challenges came. They made trade losses, and this is what happens when you ignore the risk and only focus on what you perceive to really be a benefit from this resource. And you know, the risk of even trading two currencies on the back of the dollar and assuming that you can seamlessly do it. You have oil prices that is so volatile, and at the same time, I mean, look at gold prices, what has happened to gold prices in the past 6-7 months, all right? The volatility that is happening in that space. There is certainly going to be some risk mitigation measures which we are not seeing government think about, all right? If you buy gold and the currency fluctuates, or even the gold price on international market fluctuates, who offsets that risk? Is it the public, or the Bank of Ghana is putting aside some resources to be able to do risk mitigation that they're doing? In my write-up, I did indicate, even when you look at the initial period that the Bank of Ghana decided that they were going to buy gold and store, and gave the mining companies cedis at an average of around 11.6 cedis to the dollar. Suddenly you had the cedi appreciating to about 8, some even below 8 to the dollar. So what that means is that you have given the mining companies, you know, on unexpected windfall, because suddenly the cedi they had in their hands were more valuable than they would have gotten if they had sold their gold in dollars. So these are some of the risks that you will certainly subject yourself to if you get into this kind of convoluted arrangements that we are seeing. And what is even surprising is that government has not been willing to debate the policy and even engage the stakeholders that are so germane and relevant to this conversation. I mean, you can ask the small-scale miners how much engagement they have had with the PMMC and with government on the program or the policy that has been initiated, apart from the directives that we hear flying around. There were some engagement with some of the exporters. And the fundamental question that they have asked the Minerals Commission is that what happens to the license that they have been given, for which reason they have made investment? Because the country is the one that licensed them for them to proceed to make investment to be gold exporters. So suddenly what happens to the licenses that they have been issued as gold exporters? And I also come to one critical issue. I mean, we know that what they're trying to do is to enforce the central bank, exchange rate to be buying the gold. If you want to enforce the central bank exchange rate today, you are going to lead to a massive smuggling of gold in Ghana. Because across the country, you have people competing to buy the gold at bank rate, even at Forex Bureau rate. All right? So certainly the Bank of Ghana rate is not competitive. And I've seen a directive from PMMC saying that, people have to go and buy the gold and then, aggregate the gold to about 5 kilos and sell it to PMMC. you expect the private man to go and buy the gold, compete for the gold at a market rate. And when they have appeared before PMMC, are you going to give them Bank of Ghana rate, or you're going to buy it at the rate that they bought the gold from? These are fundamental questions that haven't been answered. And even this space, Salon, we have been working with GRA over the years to try to mop up some of the production from artisanal gold and the small-scale sector. Because what we noted through research and engagement with our partners offshore was that we had significant volumes of gold exiting Ghana on account. So we couldn't trace the gold that were exiting our shores. And we found that some of the regulatory impositions and the taxes that GRA was imposing on the small-scale miners made it attractive to rather sell the gold to smugglers. All right. So this kind of intervention, trying to impose some exchange rates on the production of the small-scale sector, is really going to entrench the problem that we've been trying to address over the period.
Very well.
I remember when GRA imposed 3% withholding tax. Exports dropped about 60%. It only had to recover when they brought down to about 1%, 1.5% tax. So we are going to get back to that arena of encouraging, the smuggling the gold across our border.
Okay, so let me give Dr. Mahama in the studio some opportunity to respond to some of the issues that you have raised. Doc, so Bemboachi has raised quite a number of issues. I mean, and of course, he called something the fundamental error in government's thinking is to assume that once the revenue doesn't come through the Bank of Ghana, then it means the revenue does not come to Ghana. And you think that is a fundamental flaw in the thinking of policy makers, and he thinks that must be corrected. He also talks about, what happens if gold prices fall? Who offsets that risk? I don't know whether government will do that. Of course, government will have to do that. And a few other issues he raised. What's your response to some of the points?
Yeah, so the first response to the first query was to the effect that there was an error. But if my brother, Mr. Boachi, would note, ICOMS was devolved. The Integrated Coastal Management System was devolved because government had not got the ability to track export and the repatriation of same, the receipt. And that if you read the the foreign banking department's report of the Bank of Ghana, they will tell that despite the introduction of ICOMS, exporters still found a way of not repatriating in contravention of, the relevant section of Act 723. That's the Foreign Exchange Act. This is a recurring problem government has mentioned in several reports. But he mentioned that 75% of the operations of mining companies cost, of course, the whole operation, 75 of, proceeds are used to service operation. The remainder of the 25%, where does it go? He has not accounted for it. So the government thinking is not just deposit. In the first place, not all these people, not all of them, government, central bank do not hold their accounts. But the outcomes is supposed to track their receipts, their export and receipt of same. And we've mentioned several times that the Foreign Exchange Act has been violated by many exporters, including gold mining companies and exporters of gold.
But so government knows this. Why is government sitting aloof?
So it is not, last one said, look, one, there was a window of 60 days period within the system, within which the proceeds should come in, and then they can decide to do whatever to do. Government is not hindering the movement of forex. What government essentially wanted to ensure by the system is that let the forex come back. Let us account for the export, and then you can then decide to move. We understand that there are parent companies they will need to send money to. Of course, if we account for 75%, let's even assume that is correct, that they account for 75%. The remainder of 25 should give us room for concern. Where does it go? Aside that, he has also admitted that it's not just even the export. The goal sometimes is smuggled out. You cannot track smuggled gold because people are going in. I'll leave the issue about the pricing to Mr. Ewe to
address. But he's also concerned that this goes for oil program will entrench the
No,
smuggling.
that's what I'm saying, that I'll leave the issue of price, because the issue of smuggling is an issue of pricing. Okay?
Yes.
If you use an exchange rate that is not competitive, then there is that incentive for people to smuggle. Government has contemplated the potential, the possibility.
Which is likely to be the case.
I'm saying
because
in the
Bank of
discussion,
Ghana rate, that is that is likely to be used.
That's what I'm saying, that they will explain that. And I know, I sit there and listen to presentation. I'm privy to the discussion that this issue was raised by the Association of Bullion Operators. Government has provided a solution to that, and there's an agreement to the effect that the gold is going to be priced at a particular rate. And that discussion and details, I'll defer that to my colleague. But I just want to say that the issue of smuggling is about one, pricing. What exchange rate you are going to use, and government contemplated that. Apart from contemplating on the fact that pricing is going to be an issue, government has also taken steps to avoid or to discourage smuggling of gold. So it's not a policy that, of course, he mentioned also an issue about people not willing to debate the policy and that there's no engagement.
And that appears to be a difficulty government has had across the board.
The truth is that I have not heard the association of small-scale miners coming to say that they've not been engaged on this program.
I think at one of the awards nights, the small-scale miners president or general secretary also mentioned that they were looking forward to the engagement.
Yeah, they were looking. So that's what they were looking for. If they had not been, I'm not aware of this association not being engaged. I have participated in the meeting of the Association of Bullion.
But if the engagement doesn't mean just having 2 or 3 meetings. I mean, if
it's a continuous engagement, and I agree that, look, for a program of this nature, people need to have the visibility on the program, and all the questions being asked would be addressed.
Let me take a quick break. So you just said Dr. Kabiru Mahama. I know Nana Akosiwa is itching to respond. We'll get to him after this short break. This is Point of View. We are discussing Ghana's Gold for Oil program. I will return and get back to the PMMC for some more, answers on how the process really will be. The issue about smuggling, what do they have to say about that? If Bank of Ghana is saying that the exchange rate they are offering is, let's say, 9 cedis, but Abochi, as we have come to know, has it at 11, and so the private person gets it at 11. Should they come to government and sell it at 9 cedi to $1? That is a concern that we have to seek answers to. We'll return and get answers to that. Don't go away.
Wow.
Yeah. You Go Flip, a real estate gaming platform that allows you to play and stand a chance of winning a house or cash or consolidated prizes, such as savings towards a house. Simple and easy to play. Visit www.yougoflip.com. Buy a ticket to enter the game. Wait for the end of the game to enjoy the win. Anyone can win. Flip it or own it. You Go Flip. This advertisement has been vetted and approved by the Gaming Commission of Ghana. Play responsibly, not for persons below 18 years, and gaming can be addictive.
You're welcome back to the Point of View. We are discussing Ghana's Gold for Oil program. On Monday, Ghana took delivery of its first consignment of 40,000 metric tons of finished products, and we don't know when it's hitting the market. We'll get answers from here soon. My guest, PMMC boss, Nana Akosiwa, Dr. Kabiru Mahama, economic advisor to the Vice President, and also Ben Boache, Executive Director of ASEP. Nana, yes, I know you've been itching to speak, but can you address this issue about smuggling and the issue about pricing, so we ensure that we don't see deepening smuggling of the commodity when this program fully kicks in?
Okay, thank you very much, Salom, for the opportunity. Let me first address the issue of smuggling, and then I'll move on to a couple other issues that were raised by Mr. Ben Boache. Now, on the point of smuggling, yes, we are aware. Government is very much aware of the incidents of smuggling when it comes to gold. In fact, for that reason, government has since, I believe, 3 or 4 years ago, put in place certain measures to curb that. One of those measures was to set up a special unit dedicated towards. As part of planning this program, it was indeed identified that smuggling is going to be a major threat to the success of the program. And for that reason, whilst putting together the plan, we also did not lose sight of measures in order to tackle smuggling. And as we speak, I can confidently say that the security agencies have been empowered and motivated very well to intensify their anti-smuggling operations. In fact, if you are a follower of the industry, you may have heard that even this week, there were a lot of rumors within the gold communities, particularly in Takwa and its environs, that there were security operations happening within those areas in order to check on the incidents of smuggling. And so we did not at all lose sight of the threat of smuggling to the success of this program. And we are aware of all the various methods and means that people use in order to smuggle gold. Some of them, we are also aware of other corporate citizens, not only private citizens, corporate citizens who fund licensed gold exporters to purchase gold on their behalf, and then that gold is smuggled, and then when the gold is sent out there, the funds or the proceeds are then used to import goods and all of that. Then we are aware of all these schemes to, as it were, encourage capital flights and all of that. But the good news is that, like I said before, the security agencies have been well motivated, well equipped in order to deal with this incident of smuggling. So smuggling is well under our radar, and we are checking that.
Can you deal with the issue about stakeholder engagements?
Yes, we've had several stakeholder engagements. One key issue that was raised, particularly by the licensed gold exporters, was that, well, since government is now coming into this domain or entering actively into the value chain to purchase the gold, what it then means is that by the directives of the Honorable Minister, all those who have licenses to export gold, effective 1st January, they were not going to be able to do so. And that for that reason, it was going to destroy their businesses. But government, in the implementation of this program, has never had the intention to, as it were, kill businesses. Rather, as a way to mitigate whatever negative impact, if you like it, that may be caused by this program, government rather has chosen to work with these existing traders as implementing partners. But is this alone? Sure. Sure.
Yes.
What is interesting to note is that what they are not telling you is that because government is buying, they rather tend to earn more because they are going to save on costs of shipments. Because as we speak, before 1st January, whoever is exporting gold incurs a cost of about 2.95% of the value of the gold. Because you are looking at 1.5% withholding tax or export charges. You are looking at PMMC charges, assay charges. You are looking at income charges. You are looking at freight costs. Everything comes together to about 2.95 to 3%. Now, because government is going to be buying directly from them, immediately that cost is saved.
Very well.
But they are not saying.
Very well. Can you also address the issue about what happens to the export license that they have? And now PMMC will be buying from them. What happens to their own arrangements? Would there be any change in legislation to ensure that indeed PMMC remains the only? What happens to their export license, for example, in 1 minute?
Indeed, in my earlier submission, I did mention that government is working with them as implementing partners. They did mention the fact of existing contractual obligations. In our engagements with them, we did mention to them that we are going to give them the opportunity to meet or discharge fully their contractual obligations. All they have to do is to write, give us proof or documentation detailing that I have this contractual obligation of, let's say, $1 million to supply that value of gold. I've been able to do it up to, let's say, over a period of 6 months. I've been able to do $500,000. It's left with $500,000. But as a result of this new policy, I can no longer continue. So please, how do we deal with this? And we are willing. We respect the sanctity of contracts. We respect the sanctity of contract. And for that reason, we've agreed that if they are able to convince us by presenting all the documentation, we would have a structure with you, an arrangement where we'll give you time to discharge fully those contractual obligations. And we are well understood on that.
Very well.
As we speak, we have so far received about 4 of such applications, which we are currently reviewing. When we sit down with them and agree on an arrangement, to allow them to ship out the gold in order to meet those contractual obligations.
Very well.
But before I think it's important, if you permit,
just 1 second, quickly.
It's important to address one issue which has to do with the risk against price fluctuations in gold. Price fluctuation in gold. Anybody within the gold industry, anybody who trades in gold, knows that if I'm going to the market to buy gold at, let's say, $1,900 per ounce, and I'm going to get gold of, let's say, 20 kilos or 20,000 ounces, the natural thing that makes business sense for any gold dealer to do will be to also fix that price or more with whoever is going to buy the gold from them, so that you secure yourself, you insulate yourself from price fluctuations. So if you study the trend and find that, look, this week gold prices have gone up since I made my purchase at 1900, and that gold prices have gone as high as 1925, you can actually hedge your sale price at 1925.
Very well.
So thereby, you are actually even making more as a result of the price differential.
Very well. Yes, yes, very well. I think enough. I think you've said you've said, and that point has been well made. Dr. Bemboachi, I'm sorry I have to sacrifice you, but I think you made your points, and your points is like setting the cat among the pigeons. So let me come to Dr. Kabiru for his final words. What are we to expect? What will be the effect of all of this? Are we to see any effect at the pumps soon, and when exactly? Quickly.
Yeah, so 40,000 tons is quite a small number. The effect is that it's going to probably, because the BDCs are going to mix it with other sources which are quite not competitive, even though the 40,000 metric tons are competitive, and to strike the average price. But we'll begin to see the full impact when volumes begin to increase. Because when we begin to import like 100,000 metric tons, then almost all the consumption will have been supplied at competitive prices. So my view is that, look, 40,000, when we scale up these volumes, then we'll begin to see the effects. But the OMCs that are taken from this particular initiative are likely to be selling at the lowest band of the market rate. And that is because they are getting it at a competitive price, even though they are mixing it with other sources. Because if I was supposed to get 100,000 and I'm getting 40,000 at, say, $10 per liter, and I'm buying the additional 60,000 at, say, $12 per liter, I may sell it at $11 per liter. That is just the analysis that will go on. But the full impact will be realized when we have the volumes being increased. That is being achieved through this particular program.
I see. So what happens then to the other OMCs? Or, you know,
so the arrangement, like we discussed the last time, that we have been able successfully to reduce the forex demand. The remainder, about $200 million dollars have been cut off or has been hacked off from the demand. The other OMC now have the ability to even get the dollar from the market, and then they can still go on with their operation as if nothing has happened. But when the program we begin to scale it up, all of them willing to participate can then take the product through this particular arrangement.
Very well. Thank you so much. So this is how we conclude today's edition of the program. Very interesting discussion. I think we need a part 2 of this sometime soon, so we digest the issues fully. Thank you so much, Dr. Kabiru Mahama, Economic Advisor to the Vice President, Benjamin Boachi, Executive Director of